Battle not with the monster, lest ye become a monster. And if you gaze into the abyss also gazes into you. That's a powerful claim made by Nietzsche. And I've been thinking about that for a while. I think, well, what does he mean by monster and abyss? And I think, well, the answer to that probably is it refers to the darkness of our hearts. And speaking of the darkness and recesses of people's minds, roughly speaking, I think there's two ways of deal with that. The first is we are too terrified to look at it, so we choose not to face it with the hope that we can get away with that. The second is we see it forthrightly and courageously with the fervent belief that when we gaze into this abyss long enough, we gain light as opposed to darkness. We see strength rather than weakness. But are there any grounds for that suggestion? Well, that depends. But it seems to me that there is some evidence for that. The first one is a TV series that I saw these days named Better Call Saul, which is the, by the way, spin-off show of Breaking Bad. And I think you must have heard of that. So if you ever watched Breaking Bad, you know there is a lawyer named Saul Goodman who is not a good lawyer fundamentally because he's always working on the fringe of law and he became a friend of the cartel and he's a friend of the drug dealer and he helped Walter White, the drug dealer, get away with his sin. So, not a good lawyer. And in Better Call Saul's finale, he actually got a chance to get away with most of his wrongdoings and crimes, and he reduced his sentence to like 7 years, despite the fact that maybe his crimes could add up to the sentence of, I don't know, 70 years, maybe even more. So he's very good at negotiating and escaping from things has done wrong. But what's interesting and surprising in the finale is that he chose to confess all the wrongdoings of his because that he thought it's the best time for him to face his ego and self. That's really something. But what is the driving force behind that? And it turned out to me is his wife and girlfriend, Kim Wexler, because Kim has confessed her wrongdoings before, Saul Goodman. And when, Saul Goodman saw that, he thought it's high time that I did the same. Why? Well, there's multiple reasons for that. He wanted to redeem himself from the sin. That's the first one. And second, which I think is a more important one in his confession, he wanted to again gain the acceptance and recognition and love and respect from the one that he loved, which is Kim Wexler. And he did that. They finally both confessed to the sins that they ever committed, and they again greeted each other as before in the finale. That's quite romantic, and I think it's really demonstrating the power of love to some extent. And we can walk in the process of redemption ourselves. So it's like we can begin with a question like what the world is made of. Well, if you are a science and materialist type, you tend to think that the world is made of matters, objective factual things. That's one way of looking at it. But if you believe that there is something on the human part of the equation, I think you would believe that the world is made of what matters, which is a crucial distinction. And there is a ground for that because that's how we act. Things have got to be hierarchically organized unless you don't want to make any decisions of any importance in lives. What matters then? I think the most in-depth answer to that is it's made of pain and suffering and burden and monotony. As Shakespeare said by the mouth of Hamlet, if we can use one knife to end our life, who want to bear with the burden of this life, to sweat over the suffering in this busy and torturing life? Pain and monotony and boredom is the most real thing of our life. But if it's most real, what makes us live, however, must be something more profound and more powerful. What is that? Love. Love and truth. Why love? If you're in pain, if you're in doubt, if there's someone telling you that you're a good person, that's absolutely powerful. And people could be lifted up just by one encouraging word from others. It's the same case with Jimmy, the protagonist in that TV series. I think that Kim, his girlfriend, is the only one of the entire TV series who ever believed that her boyfriend is something good, is someone good. And Jimmy, at the end of that finale, by confessing his crime, proved that to his girlfriend that she is right. He turned out to be a good man. That is the power of love. It makes people come to the redemption that they see fit. So love is the driving force. What about truth? Truth is the handmaiden of love. So not only do you want love, love means that, well, flawed as you are acceptable. Okay. But there's always a spirit of encouragement in terms of love. I want you to be better. But how I manage to encourage you, I listen deeply to you, I look at you, then I say what I see fit as the truth, and that helped you to be a better man. So there is a resonance of that in the Genesis biblical story. When God kicked Adam and Eve out of the Garden of Eden, he put some cherubim at the gate to the paradise to prevent human beings from entering the paradise. And what does that mean? The cherubim carry some flaming sword to guard the paradise. And it refers to the fact that if you want to get into the paradise, you have to carve out what's imperfect in you, like the burning bush, right? You burn what's not good for you and you get into the paradise. And it actually requires the guts to face up to your weakness, to your darkness, and to burn that, because that's the precondition to recognize that before you can burn that out. In Long Goodbye, there is a famous saying that I like very much. To say goodbye is to die a little, and we have to die on a daily basis. To die every day. Let part of ourselves die instead of completely die. So it means that we, in that sense, get the ticket to the paradise if we can die properly. So, yeah, the highest value is love, and truth is its handmaiden. So, that's that.